we're in Edinburgh at the moment. Well, it wasn't up here. My friend Tim Key was up here. I was at home with our firstborn son, and it's quite a sort of stressful time, but really exciting, but also quite boring when you got a baby. So he was up here doing the Edinburgh Festival in 2009, and I was at home jealous of the fact that he was here. Sure. So I don't know, I came up with this idea of setting challenges to 20 comedians over the next year. I thought I'd be at home a lot, so I'll send them once a month. I'll send them a task, effectively. And then the following Edinburgh, we came up here 2010, and I had a room over in the Pleasance Dome area, this university building, where at midnight I explained what happened over the year. It took 2 or 3 hours, and it was really fun. And that was that. And then we thought, it was really fun, we should do it again next year, but with 10 people, because 20 was a lot. And that time round, a production company called Avalon said, you should pitch that as a TV idea. And it took years after that for it to become a TV program, but it was never the plan anyway. So it took a lot of honing and people like Andy coming on board and people like Greg coming on board. So yeah, it was an accident.
It was an accident, a very happy accident, no way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things you look back and think, God, imagine if I didn't do that, I wonder what I'd be doing now. And I'd probably be doing almost the same thing with the band, but things would be slightly different. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to talk all about the show, but obviously that's a big part of your life and a big part of your career. Over 18 series, has anybody stood out? I know it's a really difficult question, and probably a really standard question as well, but has anybody really stood out as one, maybe surprised you in terms of how well they did, but also maybe the opposite way, surprised you how badly they did? Like a Frank Skinner or something. Was it Frank Skinner that did really badly?
No, he was very close. The first
David Baddiel
was bad, yeah. Baddiel was bad. No, in the first series, they all did well, except for Roshan.
Yes, of course.
And that wasn't a surprise. So we've had, in those 18 series, we had 90 comedians. So, in a way, I really mean this, they've all been great. Because we're quite keen on making the casting right. So we really think about it, the mix and all that. And we won't have someone on the show that we don't like and trust and find funny. But there definitely are some out of that 90 who stand out. If I just let your mind go blank, and whoever will swim into vision. I mean, often it's either the very early ones or the most recent ones. I'd definitely say someone like Fern Brady had made an impact. Like, she felt like she was thinking in a different way. And actually, I didn't know her neurodivergent story until I read her book, and was, again, hugely relieved that she talked about Taskmaster in a positive way. And I hadn't crossed my mind that people are thinking the way she thinks on the show. So, yeah, she was so funny and so honest. And I'm, very glad that she enjoyed it. But, equally, someone like Lisa Tarbuck thought in a completely different way to anybody else and surprised me. I don't know. I just found her very funny, as I just found Fern very funny. So I guess it's people like that who will answer the question or do the thing in a way that I hadn't expected. That's what I'm always looking for. I want to be excited by their response to the instruction.
When somebody finds a loophole, like a loophole that you're not expecting, do you ever go, oh, God, I wish I'd covered myself for that one?
No, I love a loophole. I don't feel like it's me against them. I feel like it's them against each other, and I love it. The worry is, so the way it works, they come to the house one by one to do these things in isolation. So if the first person opens a task and finds a loophole, straight away I think, oh no, this could not. If they all do that, it won't work. But they invariably don't. They invariably do it in different ways. So no, I never mind. I might pretend that I'm annoyed. It's mostly me on camera, but there's a little bit of acting where, it is just silly and fun. And I'm always happy when people do something in a good way or find one of my tricks. Honestly, I love it.
Tim Key, and the only reason I brought this up is because I spotted it in the credits once that he's a task coordinator, is it? Consultant.
Right,
task
word, yeah.
Task consultant. And now the way I picture it, right, genuinely, the way I picture it is just you and him sitting in a pub, just chatting and coming up with the most obscure tasks.
Yeah.
What is the process, coming up with that sort of stuff?
Process is a generous word.
Okay.
Chris. Now, what happened was that when we started the show, so he's unfortunately probably my best friend. And so when we started, I used him as a sounding board, but then he was in the show, so I couldn't test any of the tasks on him because that would ruin it. But he would always be the person I'd talk to about what's funny, because he's very funny.
Phil Wang was the test.
Yeah, he came in. He was our first guinea pig. And then actually with Phil, we realised we don't really need to test the task because comedians come in and there's no point in predicting what they're going to do. Anyway, so the second series, when we're surprised enough to get that, I did start running the task by Tim. I said, what about if there was an egg on the table? I remember calling him up and said, what if there's an egg on the table and it said, eat me, fastest wins? What do you think about that? And he said, yeah, that's a good idea. So that was his role. And then the series after that, I kept talking to him and he suggested some things and I said, we should probably pay you for this. So we got him on board as a task consultant. And then after that moment, he's virtually contributed nothing.
Okay.
Not true. No, he's always been a sounding board. I call him at any point to talk about who would be a good contestant. If a task needed a bit of work, he's at the other end of the phone. We don't meet up really to talk about things because we've got other more important things to talk about, like life. But he's just there, and it's fun to have his name. I think he's argued, I don't think he'll mind me telling you this, he's argued his way to a slightly smaller fee to the consternation of his agent, because he has said he will tell you he's in charge of every task. And let's say it's somewhere in between the two. Okay. But yeah, it's not a very organised relationship. But I love having his name on the credit.
Yeah. How, I mean,